Grizzlies fans know it's the team that gives you the edge. Big River Steel does too. And much like the Grizzlies have recruited legendary talent, we want you to be part of our team. Are you ready to be part of something legendary? Then visit www.bigriversteel.com. That's www.bigriversteel.com.
Our fans have a huge impact on our ability to play to the level that we're striving for.
Drop off, Durant. Oh! Well, you wanted home crowd involvement.
I love those moments where you see our guys engaging in the fans, and the fans just get pumped up.
They are standing in FedExForum.
I would hate to be on the other side with the opposition when FedExForum's rolling. That's such an unbelievable relationship that our group has with our fans.
At the National Civil Rights Museum, history moves us forward. The question remains, how does history move you?
Keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom now.
Shinedown, Dance Kid Dance Tour. Live in Memphis. FedExForum Saturday, August 30th. With special guests, Bush and Morgan Wade. Get tickets now at livenation.com. Shinedown, live in concert. For more, visit shinedown.com.
Live from the Built Ford Tough studio at FedExForum, it's the Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South, on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app. Now, here's your host, Gary Parrish.
My name is Gary Parrish, speaking to you from Midtown Manhattan, New York City. Bennett Doyle back in Memphis producing the program. Glad he's with me. Glad you're with me. Hope you're getting through the day best you can. And I sure hope you were listening when I kept telling you that the Grizzlies were going to take their rightful position as the second-place team in the West, because now we're just running away with it. Another Grizz win last night, another Rockets loss last night. So through 50 games of this season, the Grizzlies are 34-16. Alone in second in the West, 1.5 game lead over Houston in the conference standings. We'll get to it momentarily. First, though, quickly, let me set today's schedule for you. The next segment, about 20 minutes, Drew Hill's going to join me. Of course, covers the Grizzlies for the Daily Memphian. He's going to be in studio, so he'll be in studio more than me these days. That's nice. Drew Hill's got a 4-part series right now at dailymemphian.com on Jaren Jackson Jr. Really interesting stuff. I'll talk to him, about the team, but also about that. Drew Hill going to join me in about 20 minutes. Finish talking to him, take a break, come back, do 5 more things you need to know. Which one we're going to discuss? 5 previously undiscussed stories, among them Patrick Mahomes, who grew up about 100 miles from Dallas, has weighed in on the Mavericks trading Luka Doncic. I'll tell you what, he's not happy. I'll tell you, like everybody else, he's not happy. Except for Lakers fans. I'll tell you what he said. We'll do that in about 40 minutes. Meantime, Travis Kelce, that's Patrick Mahomes' teammate, he is chastising the media for giving life to the idea that the refs in the NFL officiate in a way that is favorable for Kansas City, one victory away from becoming the first three-peat Super Bowl champions in history. We'll talk about Travis Kelce's comments. We'll do that a little later on in the show. Did Taylor Swift and Olivia Rodrigo ever actually have real beef? I don't know, but people said they did. And now those same people are saying that beef is squashed. I'll tell you why they're saying it. We'll do that in the third segment. Auburn and Duke remain number 1 and number 2 in the AP poll yesterday. Something unique and interesting is happening in the sport of college basketball. It's unfolding right now. I'll tell you what it is. We'll do that in just a bit. And At least 3 low major programs are reportedly caught up in a gambling scandal connected to college basketball. This is obviously becoming a problem within sports to some degree in America, given how easy it is now for people to legally gamble in most states in this country. We'll dive into that a little bit during 5 more things you need to know. Then we'll eventually do GP's carry out and we'll call it a day. So that's the rundown. We got a lot to get to. But I did want to start with your Memphis Grizzlies because game 50 of a scheduled 82, it was played last night in downtown Memphis. And before we get to the fun stuff, and by fun stuff, I mean another victory, let me say that our thoughts are with the man who needed medical attention before tip-off last night courtside. Bennett, I was texting you. The game was in a delay. And I think that the text I sent was something along the lines of, does it feel as bad and weird as it's coming across on my computer and on my iPad, because it felt weird and scary and awkward and uncomfortable. In all seriousness, and we joke around a lot on this show, and we'll do it here in a minute, but in all seriousness, that's not a normal thing for you to see. Spurs rookie Stephon Castle talked about it last night, said everything, after the game was delayed for roughly 45 minutes, just sort of felt off. Bennett, I'll just ask you the same question I asked you last night. What did it feel like in FedExForum having to experience that? Because it's not a normal thing to see.
No, I think that's a good way to describe it. Everything did feel off. Yeah. I mean, when you see someone getting chest compressions on the front row at a NBA game, yeah, that's scary. I've just thoughts with him and his family, and hope everything ends up being okay. Because it just you don't really know what to do. I mean, you don't really. I don't think anybody in the moment knows how to act, how to feel, and so I think everybody handled it the best they could, and especially obviously the EMTs and medical personnel on site did a really great job, and they should be commended for jumping into action really fast last night, because it was literally a life or death situation. So thinking about that guy today for sure.
Of course. The only time I've ever seen something like that in person, coincidentally, I was here in New York. I was hosting that Time to Shine show that used to be on CBS Sports Network. It was during the summer, and we would tape that show every day during the day. It was an afternoon show, early evening show. So something like call time at 2, tape it at 4, out of there by 5, and, walk back to the hotel. And Brent Stover and I, we were doing the show together. And we were, he lives on the east side of Manhattan, and so my hotel is sort of on his walk back home. So we just walk back, and then I leave him when I get to the hotel, and he continues his walk home. Anyway, we're walking down 54th, and a man just happens to be walking in front of us. And when you're in Manhattan, it's just people walking all day long, every day, all night long. And I noticed this man start to just sort of, looks like he's losing his balance, and then he collapses, and he was walking with somebody, and that person noticed what was happening and sort of caught him a little bit and then laid him on the ground. But he was clearly having some sort of medical emergency, and like I'm the person who called 911, and you don't know what to do. You're just sort of sitting there, and very quickly somebody who had a better grasp of CPR than I was there immediately and started performing CPR, and the medical officials were there pretty quickly. But that is an unnerving thing to think that you are watching. I don't even want to speculate, but like to see somebody in trouble like that. I know that I can see that man's face on the sidewalk in New York. Mm-hmm. I can close my eyes right now and I can see that man's face. And last night inside FedExForum, a lot of fans, media members, and players who were getting ready to do their job, they had to witness that. And it's just that's a tough thing to wrap your head around. I thought GG last night in his post-game interview was good addressing it. Mentioned that they gathered as a team and said a prayer before the game. So we'll see where it goes from here. But it was just, you get really fired up for a Monday night game inside FedExForum with one of the generational talents in town, and it ends up it just feels off all night because we all had to, the game was delayed because of a very serious thing, and it was a weird night in downtown Memphis. Uncomfortable transition back to the game. Final score: Grizz 128, Spurs 109. Not long after, we got a not so great injury update related to Desmond Bain.
Yeah.
The Grizz got a combined 58 points from Jaren Jackson and GG Jackson. The Jackson 2. Bennett, let's stop here. Did I invent that, or is that something that's already out there? The Jackson 2. Can you dig it?
It's the first time hearing that. It's the first time hearing that. Hang on, I got to digest it. Let me digest it.
I thought you'd be more enthusiastic. I know how much some of y'all love nicknames. I was just sitting here last night. I was like, that could be the Jackson 2.
I don't think I hate it.
Well, that's not what I wanted to hear.
But I'm not sure that I love it. I might be somewhere in the middle. Though let me just sit on it for a little bit. I'm going to say it out loud a couple times between now and tomorrow, and then I'll let you know.
Let me try something else on you.
Okay.
The Jackson 2 performing 41 nights a year in downtown Memphis. Unless they're hurt, of course.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't do it for you.
It's okay. It's okay. I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
Well, thanks.
Oh wait, okay. Somebody points out GG's name is GG Jackson II. I mean, I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
Well, thanks for not hating it. Jaren took 21 shots, made 10 of them, finished with 31 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 blocks, and a steal. GG took 20 shots, made 11 of them, finished with 27 points, 4 rebounds, 3 steals, and an assist. So the Jackson 2.
Okay. It's growing. It's growing on me. It's growing on me. Just keep saying it.
The Jackson 2, they got 58 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 steals, and 3 blocks in a combined 59 minutes on the court. Great stuff from a 2-time All-Star and hopefully a future All-Star. Big Bet Bennett, that's obviously the best performance of GG's, and that's one half of the Jackson 2 of his sophomore season.
Yep.
But that's what it's supposed to look like, right? That looked very much like a guy who was at one point ranked number 1 in his high school class and maybe didn't have the best freshman year and only year of college basketball in South Carolina, but he showed signs of promise last season, and now that he's healthy, last night showing more signs of that same promise.
Yeah, I mean, I've said to you multiple times on this show that I think the best version of this team eventually is with GG Jackson a part of that starting lineup as a big, contributor on this team. Now, the good thing for the Grizzlies is he's barely 20 years old, and they've got him locked into a pretty good deal. So, if it's not this season, I think seeing that happen last night was so cool because it's like, man, that just feels like, an added bonus. If you're going to get that out of GG, especially consistently, if he starts playing like he did last night, I think you just feel great as a Grizzlies fan.
Well, he just turned 20 in December, like you said, and he's already an obvious rotation player for an obvious contender. That's good stuff. And as the trade deadline approaches, and there's a million conversations to have about that, the truth is that at the trade deadline or shortly after it, theoretically, and in Gigi's case, several weeks before it, but you'll get the point. We've been playing much of the season, 50 games, largely without GG Jackson, Marcus Smart, and Vince Williams. And all 3 of those guys are theoretically going to be healthy at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to add 3 potential rotation players to this roster over the course of the rest of the season. Again, theoretically, GG already there, Vince, Marcus, on the way. So, when you see that type of performance from him last night, encouraging, just a reminder that he is super talented and that a lot of his stuff that was first time since Kobe Bryant, first time since so-and-so that he accomplished last season, it was with bad teams and bad rosters and, in meaningless games and a season going nowhere except the lottery. But the main reason he was able to do all of that stuff is because he is immensely talented. And that was on display again last night. So that's the good stuff. The bad stuff, again, Desmond Bain now trending with @Grizzlies PR. Foot strain suffered in that Sunday night victory over Milwaukee. Taylor Jenkins did say yesterday that Dez is going to, quote, miss a little time. No timetable for a return, but that's not great. Bennett, do you think we'll ever just have a healthy basketball team where we just go, man, it's nice. Everybody's healthy. This is cool.
Probably. I mean, evidence suggests probably not. But I want to. Hey, as long as they do for the playoffs, I'm fine. I think the good thing with the Desmond Bane injury is the fact that it's almost All-Star break, so he's gonna get some time to rest up. And Taylor Jenkins actually sounded pretty. Yeah, I know he said he's gonna miss time, and that scares everybody, but he sounded pretty positive talking about it yesterday. That it sounds like that he avoided something worse. Is kind of what he alluded to. So I'm gonna take him for his word and feel good about it.
Yeah, what he seemed to imply is that it's not great, but it could have been worse. Yeah. Right? It's not great, but it could have been worse, and we've been dealing with this type of stuff throughout our roster all season, and so we'll just continue to deal with it. Either way, 34-16 through 50 games, alone in second in the West, 1.5 games ahead of Houston, which lost last night, about 20 blocks to my left, just right down there.
We broke them. We broke them.
Yeah.
Did we break them?
Yeah. I mean, it's starting to look like it, Bennett.
Yeah, we broke the Rockets, yeah.
It's starting to look like just running away with the 2 seed now. Next up, non-conference game against Toronto. Quick aside, people, I thought about this I was thinking about a lot of stuff last night, Bennett. I was thinking about a lot of stuff last night. In college basketball, we're constantly talking about conference games and non-conference games. Mm-hmm. Why do we never say that in professional basketball? Why don't we identify games as conference games and non-conference games? Toronto's a non-conference game.
It feels like that.
Conference. They're in the Eastern Conference. We're in the Western Conference. It's a non-conference game coming up, Bennett. You ready for a non-conference game?
Yeah, Toronto's actually been playing better too. That's not.
I'm
just telling you, that's not a gimme. That's not a gimme. This is like what you did with the Pistons. This ain't a gimme. They're playing better. Scotty Barnes is having a great season.
I don't respect Toronto.
Okay, I'm telling you, I'm gonna make you respect them.
No, you're not.
Hang on. Let me go, because we had it last night. They have won, bro. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They have won 6 out of their last 7 games. They are playing well.
No, they're master manipulators. They're habitual liars.
Now, granted, they didn't really beat anybody, but whatever.
That's the home of a master manipulator and a habitual liar. I can't respect that place. If your most famous citizen is a master manipulator and a habitual liar too, and a colonizer, I can't respect you as a city, and I certainly can't respect you as a basketball franchise. So I'm not worried. You could be worried if you want to, but I'm not worried about this non-conference game against the Raptors. And then after that, it's a big one.
Yeah.
Grizz Thunder inside FedExForum. You ready for that?
I can't wait. I cannot wait for Saturday. Yeah, that is a just huge regular season game. Yeah.
What a way to get us into the Super Bowl. First place, Oklahoma City. Second place, Memphis. Big Bet Bennett, according to all broadcasting rules I've ever picked up on over the course of my career, you know what this means? When you got first place Oklahoma City and second place Memphis, first place OKC and second place MEM, you know what that means? It means this could be a Western Conference Finals preview.
How about that?
That's what you have to say. Anytime number 1 plays number 2, you have to say it could be a Western Conference Finals preview.
Of course, it's not on national TV. Whatever.
You're just a few days away from watching a possible Western Conference preview.
Yeah.
You understand what you're doing?
Yeah, I'm excited. No, I'm excited about that game. Hopefully, everybody can get out of Toronto unscathed, and we'll be ready to roll.
Ready to roll. Grizz Thunder inside FedExForum this weekend. In the meantime, non-conference game against the Toronto Raptors. I'm gonna get people to pick up on that. It's a non. In fact, I need Pete or Brevin or Rob or somebody to, on the broadcast, call it a non-conference game. It's a non-conference game against the Raptors. Are you ready tonight? It's a non-conference game against the Raptors. All good stuff. 34-16 alone in second. Drew Hill, he covers the team every day. You read him, dailymemphian.com. He's got a nice series on Jaren Jackson Jr. publishing right now. Part 2 this morning. Talk to him next. Gary Parrish Show presented by Ortho South.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing beats catching your Grizzlies IRL, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back with tickets to every upcoming matchup. Whether you're catching the Grizzlies at home or on the road, you'll find tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Grizzlies tickets today. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside again soon, Memphis.
Our fans have a huge impact on our ability to play to the level that we're striving for.
Drop off, Durant. Oh! Well, you wanted home crowd involvement.
I love those moments where you see our guys engaging in the fans and the fans just get pumped up.
They are standing in FedExForum.
I would hate to be on the other side with the opposition when FedExForum's rolling. That's such an unbelievable relationship that our group has with our fans.
Kroger shoppers and Grizz fans, want exclusive last-minute discounted ticket deals texted straight to you during the Grizzlies 2024-2025 season? Sign up with the new Kroger Buzzer Beater deal. Fans can sign up by texting Grizz to 636-479 or visit your local Kroger store in the Delta Division and scan the QR code. By signing up, you agree to receive recurring automated promotional and personalized marketing text messages from the Memphis Grizzlies. Consent is not a condition of any purchase. Message frequency varies. Message and data rates may apply.
Anticipate each challenge. Make a quick response. Capitalize on every opportunity. And win. Greatness won't wait. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies Checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st. And you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
It's your turn to drive into luxury at Southland Casino Hotel. Join us on Saturdays to win your share of up to $1 million in free play and prizes. And don't miss the chance to take home luxury itself during the grand finale drawings. Drive off in a 2025 Land Rover on February 1st or a 2025 Range Rover on March 1st. 2 vehicles, 2 finales, 1 million ways to enjoy luxury only at Southland Casino Hotel. Must be 21 or up. Play responsibly. For help quitting, call 800-522-4700.
Welcome back, Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South. I'm in New York City. Bennett Doyle back in Memphis inside the Built Ford Tough studio. And he's joined now by Drew Hill, who covers the Grizzlies for the Daily Memphian. Drew Hill, it's GP. How you doing on this, I think it's Tuesday. How you doing on this Tuesday morning?
I'm great, GP. It's an honor to be sitting in your seat right now. As an avid GP fan and an avid listener of the Ion College Basketball podcast, this is pretty cool. It's like, hey, YouTube. Hi, YouTube.
Well, you're very sweet. You're very sweet to say all that stuff. I don't consider it my seat as much as it's just a seat that I happen to sit in sometimes and not too often lately. And one day somebody else will have the seat and I'll be, I'll be doing something else probably. I like your Bucky sweatshirt. That's nice.
Thank you. Yeah, I picked this up in Alabama driving back from the game against the Hawks this year. So I bought socks. I bought Bucky's socks for everyone in my family as a Christmas gift, and I bought the sweatshirt for myself.
For people who don't understand Bucky's, on one hand, you hear people go, ooh, Bucky's, and everybody gets real excited about Bucky's. You'll see it on Facebook and Instagram, and it's like, Bucky's, Bucky's, Bucky's. And you're like, shut up. It's a gas station. Relax. But then you actually go, and it is a wild experience.
Yeah, what do people have against Bucky? Bucky's just doing his thing. He's just passing out snacks in the middle of nowhere, That's what Bucky does.
It is wild. You just walk in there and you can get gas and then a block of fudge and then maybe a taco too if you want one.
Or a sweatshirt, or a sweatshirt. Or a sweatshirt or a brisket sandwich. And you could take a picture with the Bucky mascot or the Bucky statue. How many gas stations have statues of a beaver outside? None.
Not enough. I know that. I don't know the exact number, but I can tell you whatever the number is, I would come down on the side of not enough. Let's talk Grizzlies. Last night, another win. They're now 34-16 through 50 games. How should fans feel about this season? Because there's been some ups, there's been some downs, there's been lots of injuries. but they're still 34-16, second best record in the West through 50 games. How do you report card me? How's this 50-game season been so far?
I don't always love to tell fans how they should feel, I guess, but
they don't usually want to hear it.
No, that's usually not what. Yeah, people experience the team at their own pace, right?
Yeah.
And look, I went to Alabama. I'm the most miserable Alabama football fan on the planet, right? Like, you could catch me in the fall on Saturday, and I'm probably complaining about something, but I think that we do need to just enjoy part of this season and just take it for what it is. You know, I sometimes roll my eyes at people complaining about certain players being in the game especially like last night when Ja and Jaren are just having spectacular games. And I'm sitting there going, can we just enjoy the fact that the Grizzlies superstars look like absolute superstars right now? Like, they're playing incredible and the Grizzlies are going to win this game. And that was pretty evident early on. And so, you know, I think it's been a good season for Memphis, and to be second in the West right now, you know, I do wonder how much being 2 might actually matter given the matchups with the Rockets so far this season, and we'll see what happens with Denver. You know, they're not far behind, but you know, I think it's been a largely positive season for the Grizzlies. When Jaren Jackson Jr. takes another huge leap like this, and you have 2 players, which that was the theme last night, 2 players capable of carrying a superstar load. That was only the 3rd time this season that they both scored 25 points in a game. You're going to need that to be playing basketball come June, and that's what this team wants to accomplish. And so that was a positive step. Let's enjoy it as it happens. I think that, you know, to have a game like that was kind of needed. It offered some reassurances for sure last night.
You can frame anything any way, even factually, and make it look different. And so perhaps I'm doing that, and it's not as simple as I sometimes lay it out. But when I lay it out this way, I find it very difficult to complain about. 34-16, 4th best record in the NBA, while starting 2 rookies, and your franchise point guards missed 21 games. Like, I know that's a just one way to frame it, but when you frame it that way, I don't now know how anybody could be upset with how this thing is unfolded.
Especially the way Jaren has played, right? Like, right. We can talk about who's the lead star, but the truth is they need both, right? They need Jaren and Ja. It's why last night was significant. It's why every game where they both play great is important. Taylor Jenkins said as much last night. So I think you're right. When Ja has missed this many games and you're still winning, and you now have a player that looks like, in Jaren, that looks like he could finish as an all-NBA level player and could be part of this franchise for a long, long time, and, you know, it will be eligible to get an extension, and you might be able to get something done this offseason. Like, all of that is super significant and positive for this team. And so I think we should feel pretty good about where they are, for sure.
Let's stop here and focus on your series on Jaren Jackson Jr. 4-part series. The first 2 parts have published. When you're a beat writer, and I say this as a former beat writer, there's a certain day-to-day rhythm of just like, there's always something to do, and there's always something to report, and there's always something to type, and there's always a plane to catch, and it's busy. And yet, when you sort of identify interesting aspects of something under the umbrella of your beat, you want to try to find time to explore it and possibly do something like what you're doing right now. So I imagine you've been overwhelmed. I imagine you've been super busy, but you know, you've created something that's going to be enjoyable for Grizzlies fans. So if you can, just sort of walk me through the process. Obviously, Jaren Jackson having the best season of his career. He's a 2-time All-Star now. He's headed for All-NBA stuff. And you decide, I want to tell this story. How did you go about it? Why are you doing it?
Yeah. I mean, I have to give Jaren some credit here because I've known him now for 6 years on this beat. And so, you know, when you're around those guys often, you build relationships. And it was actually Jaren that came to me and said he had interest in me writing about his newfound passion for videography and creating videos and telling his own story. And he's a person that strongly believes in individuality and creative expression and all of that. And I've covered a lot of that over his career. And so, you know, he said, I would really love for you to write about this. And I was like, great, you're Jaren Jackson Jr. Of course I would love to write about it. And so we met up. If you read the first piece, we went to a dinner in Dallas, and it was to some degree Jaren telling the stories about filming and his passion for filming, but also everything that he did over the summer, from catching snakes in the Everglades to going to bare knuckle fights and being backstage at wild concerts and going to Tokyo, and it totally blowing his mind and changing his perspective on how he sort of views the world and views his own, pace of work. And digging into all those stories was awesome, and I think it gives Grizzlies fans a chance to see him in a light that maybe they didn't see him. I also wanted to be very careful that it wasn't something like Jaren saying what I did on my summer vacation, right? Or like the feeling where it was like him bragging about what he gets to do because of the blessings that he's had in his life and where basketball has taken him. It wasn't about that. I sat with Jaren at that dinner table for 4 hours, and he talked non-stop about how much he loved it, right? This isn't a message about all the cool stuff Jaren gets to do. This is a message about, hey, you know what? When I go to Fashion Week, let me tell you what I do at Fashion Week. And we do all this stuff. But you know why I get to do that stuff? Not because I have clout or because I have money. It's because I care so much about this that the designers want to talk to me about it. We can bounce ideas off of each other. Everything is constructive. And there's something to be said of just about his spontaneity, his, ability to handle all of these things at one time and what he's learned. And I think what he's figured out is when the cameras are on and he's like, all the music in it is his music. He's directing this. He's giving the instructions on how to film it. He has a vision for what he wants to do. He's pulling from documentaries on Netflix, right? About some of the most interesting people in the world to him. And he's doing all of this, but what he's essentially learned is I'm most happy when I'm busy. I'm most happy when I'm getting to do all of these other things. And you might think that this is a distraction from basketball for me, but it is not. If anything, it drives me even more to the game, because when the cameras are on, the pressure's on for you to look good, right? The pressure is on for you to train. And he took a Grizzlies assistant with him every single place he went, from Tokyo. I mean, the stories about them trying to book gyms in Tokyo with nobody that speaks English is hilarious on its own. But I think if you read, you really understand that this is not about Jaren bragging about all the things he gets to do. This is about Jaren showing the way that he expresses himself and this feeling of individuality. I think my favorite quote from maybe the entire piece was, he said, "What you do is cool because you do it," right? That's what makes it cool. It is not about, the fact that you're getting to do awesome stuff. It's about the fact that you are doing it, and that is what makes it cool. I've just had a blast putting it together. It has been a struggle for sure. There's a lot going on in the beat. I'm thankful for Chris Harrington, who's been able to help me out. But this is my favorite project I've done so far. So I really hope people will read it.
Well, like, if Jaren were nothing more than an awesome basketball player, that'd be fine with me. I know plenty of people who are just awesome basketball players, and that's good enough. But I prefer well-rounded people. I like passionate people. I like people who are naturally curious and interested in other things. And, I have a lot of interest outside of what my day-to-day job is. And, I don't spend every day, writing about them or even talking about them with other people too much. But they're things that I'm interested in. And like, I bet people might be surprised to get a hold of my Spotify podcast list and you see the things that I actually listen to. They're not really basketball podcasts or even sports podcasts. I have interest outside of sports. And so I think, I like reading this stuff about Jaren Jackson Jr. because it reminds me that there's more to him than just being a super tall, super gifted, super talented basketball player. Like, I say this sometimes about athletes or people I cover in the industry. And when I'm trying to give them a compliment, I say, I would like that guy to be a starting front court player on my team, and also wouldn't mind him being my neighbor. Like Jaren Jackson Jr. strikes me as the type of person that I love him being a part of my favorite basketball franchise. But if he happened to live next door to me and like we just sort of stood out in the front yard and had interesting conversations every once in a while, that would be fun too. He strikes me as that kind of person.
Yeah, he is definitely that type of person, and just his energy is so infectious for all of these things. And one of the pieces that'll be out on Thursday, it's about his trip to Tokyo, and I mean he almost described it as like the most inspired he's ever felt, and he came back to begin the season following that trip. The serious training in Memphis, and he was looking at life through an entirely different lens because he went to Tokyo, and what he learned in Tokyo was that people in Japan have this culture where they work extremely hard. They don't work 9 to 5s, right? He said you go out on the street, it's midnight, it's 1 a.m., and some guy is fixing buildings or fixing a road, and he's doing it with a smile on his face. And he lets you walk past, when you're walking by on the street and he's fixing the road, he lets you walk past, he smiles at you, and then he gets right back to work. And it's 1 a.m, right? And he even talked about, some of the struggles of that, some of the Western stereotypes about, that level of culture and how disappointing it might be that, Japan has one of the higher suicide rates among, high income countries in the world. And like, he's clearly educated about all of these things. He has so many different interests. But Japan to him really was like this experience where he said he felt so seen, right? I know I'm not crazy. I'm doing all these things, and I'm doing them in such high detail, and they're the most important thing in the world to me. And here I am in a culture where everybody is the same way. And it was just, to him, this incredible experience. And it honestly taught him a lot about how he spends his money. And he's got a lot of money. He's able to pretty much do whatever he wants in this life. And he's very blessed and grateful that the Grizzlies have offered him these contracts and, it made him the person that he is today. But he's like, you know what? What's important to me isn't necessarily the material things. What's important to me is what I care about. And if I choose to make that storytelling, then that's what it's going to be. And the best part about the series is that I can put beyond the first one. If you read the first one yesterday, like if you go read today and the last 3, you can put visuals to it because it's all on video, because that's what this is about, right? So when Jaren tells a story about this elephant going crazy at the Miami Zoo, you click the video on the story, you watch the elephant go crazy and Jaren freak out about the elephant. So, it's really fun. It's really fun. It's unlike anything I've done, but it's fitting because he is seriously one of the most interesting players in the NBA. I believe that wholly.
The 4-part series is called Triple Vision. First part published yesterday, second part today. Wednesday, Thursday, the series will be completed. I imagine, as somebody who's done stuff like this and taken on projects when I'm already overwhelmed, because you feel like I don't have time to do this necessarily, but it's something I really want to do. I imagine this was your experience. As you're going through it, you're like, I don't have time for this. I'm overwhelmed. I'm exhausted. I don't have time for this. And then you get done with it, and you couldn't be happier that you found the time to do it. I imagine that on some level, that's the way you feel.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. I'm really happy with the way it's turning out. And like I said, the 4th part, which will be out on Thursday, is my favorite. So I would stick around for the full thing. But it's been a real joy to do it. And like I said, I'm thankful for the people that have been able to step in. And hopefully, moving forward, I think we'll see that, there might be opportunity for me to branch out beyond just the Grizzlies. So that's coming later. But I'm definitely excited that this was able to work out, and we were able to do this with Jaren. And I'm thankful that Jaren appreciates local media, right? Shout out.
That's my favorite, or among my favorite parts of this, is that this isn't something you went to him with. It's something he came to you. And like that I don't want to get too in the weeds and nerd out on everybody, but that's the value of local journalism and having a beat writer who is there day to day and on the road and in these locker rooms, is that even if you don't talk to Jaren every day, he sees you every day, and he knows that he knows who you are, and he knows, like, he gets comfortable enough with you to say, hey, I have a story to tell, and I'd like for you to tell it. That's great stuff, and that's your bosses should recognize that. The reason they're spending money to have you on staff and to have you on the road is for stuff like this, because you're creating real relationships with the most famous and important athletes in our city. So terrific job. I'm glad you took the time to do it. I encourage everybody to go see it, dailymemphian.com. And again, in a time where, particularly with local news, the budgets are getting cut every day. I appreciate that we have a local entity that is putting you in a position to do work like this, and I hope they recognize this is the payoff for it. Let's get back to basketball. How concerned, if at all, should I be about Desmond Bane's injury?
I don't think it's overly serious, but he is dealing with a foot sprain. So he's the words that Taylor Jenkins choose to use was miss a little bit of time. What is a little bit? I mean, we are coming up on the All-Star break, so that could come in an advantageous time for the Grizzlies if he's not back before that. But I wouldn't be overly concerned with this. I mean, obviously he wasn't in good enough shape yesterday to play in the game, but I don't think that this is something that's like going to be a major chunk of the season here from Desmond Bane.
Last thing before I get you out of here, you cover the Grizzlies, but you cover the NBA. You follow the sport. Obviously, big headline over the weekend. Luka Doncic traded from Dallas. He's now a member of the Los Angeles Lakers. Just as somebody who, again, it's your job to be a part of this sport, what did you make with what happened over the weekend? Because I don't know that I can remember a trade in professional sports quite like this, where no matter who you ask, players, general managers, coaches, fans, nobody understands it, apparently, except for the one guy who had the power to pull the trigger on it, and that's Nico Harrison down in Dallas. What'd you make when you just the whole story? What do you make of it?
It was crazy. I didn't think it was real at first. It's funny. Like, I asked Jaren about it last night, and Jaren said, I didn't think it was real at first either. Like, I was checking the account. He said he checked the Shams account 3 times to make sure that it was actually the account. And then he realized, oh, wait a minute, this thing is real. I was on the phone with a friend of mine who is a Mavericks fan when the news came down. Like, the notification popped down on my phone, and it said, breaking Luka. I was like, what? Right. And I said to him, you're not going to believe this. The Mavericks just traded Luka Doncic. And the curse words that came out of his mouth in that moment, oh, man, it was ugly. I can't believe it. It doesn't make a ton of sense to me, honestly. You never know what's going on in-house, right? You can't fully understand exactly what that relationship was like, between Luka and the Mavericks organization. So obviously it's a stunner, right? You can't believe that they traded away someone that might be the best scorer in the NBA at 25 years old, and maybe they had some hesitation on giving him the Supermax. For me, it's like, if you're not willing to give Luka a Supermax contract, what player in the league should teams be willing to give a Supermax contract to? It's an interesting question, but here we are. I mean, it's unfathomable to think that Luka Doncic was traded from the Dallas Mavericks, and the Lakers, of course, were the benefactors of this.
Triple Vision. It's a 4-part behind-the-scenes look at Jaren Jackson Jr. You can find it right now, dailymemphian.com. The first 2 parts are up. Part 3 on Wednesday, Part 4 on Thursday. Drew, tremendous work, dailymemphian.com. I appreciate all the effort you put into that. Thank you for being here to talk to me about it. Always appreciate your time.
Thank you, GP.
Bye-bye. That's Drew Hill from the Daily Memphian. You can find the series right now, dailymemphian.com. When we come back, we'll continue the Luka Doncic conversation that continues to be at the forefront of sports. Patrick Mahomes going for a 3-peat Super Bowl win this Sunday. Even he was asked about it yesterday at media availability down in New Orleans because he grew up only about 100 miles from Dallas. He's a Mavericks fan. He did not approve of the trade. Join the club. We'll get into that next. Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing compares to catching your Grizzlies IRL. And that all starts with buying tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can catch every highlight. Put that jersey collection to use for the next game and get Grizzlies tickets at Ticketmaster. Whether they're here at FedExForum or on the road, Ticketmaster's got your back when it comes to scoring tickets. And there's no better brag than saying you saw it live.
Let's face it, there's a lot of trash talk in basketball, but the great teams let their performance do the talking. Like Ford F-150 with Pro Power on board, a class-exclusive industry-first feature that turns your truck into a mobile generator and leaves the competition speechless. Ford F-150, official truck of the Grizzlies. Greatness starts here at your Mid-South Ford dealer. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds, GBWR.
Memphis Cat is back with his Heaven on Earth tour.
I tried to be incognito, but thanks to Shannon Sharp's loud mouth, the gig is up.
February 22nd in the FedExForum.
In my spare time, I infiltrate the Illuminati. Look for their secrets. Run back. Tell y'all.
Don't miss this year's most talked about comedy icon live. He's back with brand new material, an unmatched wit, and an electrifying performance. Get tickets at Ticketmaster.com.
When it's all on the line, you turn to the strong, the stable, the unwavering. To those with a history of raising their performance to meet the moment. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies Checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st. And you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Sonic Radio. Welcome back to Sonic RNDIO. That spells radio with me, the CIO. This just in, the new Sonic $1.99 menu lets you build a crave-worthy meal for just $1.99 an item. Whether that's a creamy shake, crispy tots, or a quarter-pound double cheeseburger. This just out. Ostriches. They're mean, not very cute, and in my opinion, way too big for a bird. Don't miss the Sonic Fun 99 menu. 5 items, always $1.99. Live free, eat Sonic.
Tax not included. See menu for details.
Orthopedic injuries can be unpredictable, unforeseen, and unscheduled, and Ortho South understands this better than anyone. Since your injuries don't make appointments, you don't need to either. That's because Ortho South welcomes walk-ins during the weekdays, in the evenings, and even on Saturdays. So next time an unforeseen injury makes an unscheduled appearance in your life, visit orthosouth.org to find your nearest urgent care location. Just walk in, and Ortho South will take care of everything, especially you. Learn more at orthosouth.org. That's orthosouth at orthosouth.org. Now, I got 5 more things you need to know.
Number 1.
Super Bowl media availability. It was held yesterday for the first time for the Kansas City Chiefs in New Orleans. And among other things, Patrick Mahomes was asked about the Dallas Mavericks trading Luka just because Patrick Mahomes, though he makes his home in the Kansas City area now, he actually grew up in Texas, about 100 miles from Dallas. He identifies as a Mavericks fan. He said this, quote, "It's tough because I watched Luka since he was 18 years old. I remember going to practice, and it was Dirk and Luka, and seeing his maturation and how great of a basketball player he has become. It's been fun to watch. So as a Dallas fan, this hurts me." They've hurt Patrick Mahomes. You thought Patrick Mahomes was invincible. You thought it was impossible to slow him down, much less hurt him. But nope, not true. He's been hurt, and he's been hurt by Nico Harrison. Nico Harrison not only hurt the Mavericks franchise, he hurt arguably the greatest quarterback who has ever walked this planet. Why did he do that?
That's a good question. I mean,
it is a good question.
As someone who's made a deal with the devil, that's what everybody says about Patrick Mahomes. He probably knows a little bit about bad deals. So,
people think Patrick Mahomes made a deal with the devil, huh?
You haven't seen this? You haven't seen this?
No. I don't know anything about the
people have suggested that Patrick Mahomes has made a deal with the devil, and that's why everything's going right for the Chiefs.
Is it possible? Counterpoint. Is it possible he's just awesome at football and it's nothing more than that?
I mean, when you put it like that.
Yeah.
I like to believe the former, though. I like this whole deal with the devil.
Would you make a deal with the devil, Bennett?
What do I get out of it?
Well, let's talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want? What do you want out of it?
Everything.
Okay. Would you make a deal with the devil for everything?
I'd consider it.
I would too.
I'd consider it.
I think I would too.
Because I look at how other bad people out there thriving, and I'm like, you know what? Making a deal with the devil might not be that bad.
Well, that's the thing, Bennett. You look around the world, and what we grow up being told, and I think what we, on some level, try to tell our kids, whether it's intentional or not, is that you got to be a good person because good things happen to good people, and then there's karma, and so bad things happen to bad people, and you go through life subscribe to that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think life is actually a reflection of that. I watch the news every day. I read a lot, Bennett.
Yeah.
There's some bad people right now who are really flourishing in this world.
Man.
They're really doing okay.
Thriving.
You know?
Yep.
Thriving. So
I just want a little bit. I just want a little piece of the pie.
I just want a little piece of the pie myself.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no actual evidence in this world that being a bad person will actually bring about bad things.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, there's some evidence that suggests you might have the best things by being a bad person. So if Patrick Mahomes made a deal with the devil, here's what I'm trying to tell you. I don't even blame him. I get it. But I think the more likely scenario is that he just happens to be awesome at this thing that we've decided you can make $1 billion if you're awesome at it. And isn't that great?
Yeah, I will say, is this the first? I'm trying to think. I'm not. Obviously, it's not gonna. It won't play on like the actual ratings, but this has got to be the first time ever that the NBA is leading the sports discussion over the Super Bowl, right? Like the
so
big,
so.
like Luka and the Luka trade's leading Sports Center, right? It's not the Super Bowl. It's kind of wild.
Well, it is wild because this is the biggest week in the biggest sport in this country.
Yeah.
And at least for the past 3 days, the main topic of conversation has been NBA related.
Yeah.
Like right now, like the thing that's I keep seeing pop up on Twitter is Luka Doncic's introductory press conference with the Lakers. It's coming up now on NBA TV.
Mm-hmm.
And like the biggest headline coming out of Super Bowl media availability on some level yesterday was Patrick Mahomes'
thoughts
comments about Luka Doncic.
Yeah.
So it's just, and I think probably by tomorrow we'll be, and there's also been other things going on in the world. Like if you follow politics, a lot of stuff going on. And then, we had the Grammys on Sunday night. So there's been a few things here and there to distract us from the Super Bowl, but we'll get there.
Oh,
I
yeah,
promise
for sure.
We'll get there. But yes, it is interesting that over the past couple of days, certainly the NBA has been the bigger and more interesting and compelling story. And it's not just because one of the 3 best players in the world got traded, although that's enough. It's that one of the 3 best players in the world got traded and nobody understands it other than the dude who did it. He can't even explain it when he talks about it. Like, nobody in the decision-making business is going to make the right decision all the time. Just like nobody in the opinion-having a business is going to have the right opinion all the time. It's my job to come on here every day and talk about stuff and have opinions about things. And you can't possibly be right about everything. You just try to be as right as often as you can. But either way, even when you're wrong, you need to be able to explain it in a way that makes people believe you might not be wrong. You might end up looking wrong because that's the nature of sports and opinions. But you need to be able to sell it when you're explaining it.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I talk about on TV all the time, not actually while I'm on TV, but when I'm talking about the idea of being a television analyst, which is what I am in part. It's sort of, and I don't mean this as directly as it sounds, but you'll get the point, I hope. The most important thing when you're talking about the future or when you're trying to talk about anything, the most important thing isn't to necessarily be proven right over time, but you need to sound smart in the moment. A lot of times people won't even remember what you said 3 weeks from now, 3 years from now, But while you're saying it, while people are listening, does it sound good? Does it sound like it makes sense? Does it make sense? You need to be able to at least do that part. So I could come on here, and I did this last year at some point, and make a case for why Memphis should join the new Pac-12 and leave the AAC. Now, I want to be clear. I believe that it should, and I hope that it still does. But it is possible that I'm just, not right about that. I'm open to that possibility that we could look up in 5 years and Memphis is in the new Pac-12 and attendance hasn't changed in any sort of meaningful way. And the competition hasn't changed in any sort of meaningful way, but your travel schedules have changed in a dramatic way. And I'd have to come back on here and say 2030 and say, man, yeah, I really thought Memphis should go to the new Pac-12, but looking back on it, it hasn't gone the way I anticipated, right? I'm open to that possibility. I don't believe that, but I'm aware that's on the table of things that could happen if it went down this way. But if you go back and listen to the 20 or 25 or 30 minutes, it sounded good. It sounded compelling. It sounded like if you were willing to be convinced, I could convince you that this is the thing to do. That's the way you've got to be able to talk about things. And when Nico Harrison holds his press conference over the weekend and he starts talking about what he did, all right, buddy, literally nobody understands this. You just made a decision that no other NBA general manager would make. You just made a decision that is so absurd on a surface level that when people heard about it, even though it was coming from a reputable source, they felt like the more likely scenario was that Shams Charania got hacked. It is more believable that he got hacked than it is to believe that you actually traded Luka Doncic.
Right.
That's where we're at. The whole world is more willing to believe Shams Charania got hacked than you actually traded Luka Doncic. But now you're here. Start talking. Let's hear it. And he could not have done worse. He could not have done worse. But when you can't, he's saying things like, maybe I'll be wrong someday. What? You can't, like when you're trying to sell it, you need to sell it. And he didn't do it at all. And it's why Patrick Mahomes is hurt. That's what he said. As a Dallas fan, this hurts me. And it's why most Dallas fans and really anybody who follows sports does not understand what Dallas did this week. And if you want to know why that continues to be the biggest story in sports, it's because, generational talent got moved, and that doesn't happen often in his prime, even maybe before his prime. But it's just so impossible to make sense of that you keep trying to find a reason where they can make you understand why they did what they did. But so far, even the people who did it don't have the talent it takes. Let's just keep it there to sell you on it. It's what a mess. I'm glad I don't care about that.
They made Luka cry, dude.
They made Luka cry.
They
and
made him cry,
Mahomes.
and they hurt Patrick. Golly,
Patrick Mahomes is hurt. Like the Bills been trying to hurt this dude for years. They can't do it.
Right.
Nico Harrison is more damaging to Patrick Mahomes than the Buffalo Bills. Think about that for a second.
That's wow. That's rough.
But maybe the Bills' next move is to hire Nico Harrison.
Maybe so. He's the kryptonite.
He's the only thing I've seen so far hurt Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes.
Maybe the Bills need to hire Nico Harrison once he gets fired from Dallas for nonsensically trading Luka Doncic.
Number 2.
Okay, so Patrick Mahomes was not the only Super Bowl participant talking yesterday. Guess who else talked? Travis Kelce.
What did he say?
Boyfriend. Well, he was asked by a young reporter, just a young reporter, like, hey, Travis Kelce, if you could say anything to the media, if you could ask the media a question, media always wants to ask you a question, but hey, Travis Kelce, if you could ask the media a question, what question would you ask them? And you know what he said? He said, I would ask the media, why are you guys leaning into this officiating thing? Like there's this narrative out there. Even Roger Goodell is having to answer questions about it, the NFL commissioner, about, is it true? You think it's true? Is there something to the idea that the officials are officiating the Chiefs differently than they officiate everybody else? Because, the Super Bowl's big no matter what, but you know what's bigger than them all? When you got Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Taylor Swift all in attendance. Travis Kelce said, "What? I would ask the media, why you even play into this? Bennett, does Travis Kelce have a point? Or do the people who say the Chiefs are playing from a position that is advantageous with the officials, do they have a point?"
I mean, like we just talked about, you can literally Google Patrick Mahomes deal with the devil, and like everyone's talking. Do I think that the NFL referees have like a pact with the Kansas City Chiefs to lead them to all these championships? Absolutely not. That's insane and outrageous. Do I think that maybe they get caught up in the moment with this team that is like the cream of the crop in the NFL with a Hall of Fame coach and a Hall of Fame quarterback and a Hall of Fame tight end? I think maybe like in the moment, yes, it kind of makes you go one way. I don't think there's some kind of big collusion here with the NFL and the refs and the Kansas City Chiefs. Absolutely not. Do I think sometimes they blow the whistle on questionable calls that go against the other team and are in favor of the Chiefs? Yes, absolutely. I do think that.
You're a real hater.
I just call it like I see it, man. I just call it like I see it.
Hater. I think
I saw two defenders concuss each other and not even touch Patrick Mahomes, and they still got a flag thrown on them.
Well, they got too close.
Exactly. Yeah, they touched him.
They got too close. Bennett, you can't get that close to the GOAT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then on that same day, I saw Jared Goff get his head ripped off and no flag. So, come on.
Jared Goff didn't need that head.
Yeah. Okay.
Here's what I believe. I believe the Chiefs are in a third straight Super Bowl because they're awesome. Because they have
of course,
greatest quarterback of all time, one of the greatest tight ends of all time, one of the greatest coaches of all time, and enough of a supporting cast to put them in this position. And yes, while we're all watching every single minute, every single play, they probably benefit from a call here and there. But that's not why they're in the Super Bowl as much as they're in the Super Bowl again because they're a dynasty.
Yeah, let me be clear. I think they would be here with or without favorable calls from the refs. I think they're incredible. They're one of the greatest teams ever. Do I think they get favorable calls from the refs? Yes, I do.
Bennett? Hey, we'll see what happens on Sunday.
Yeah.
But if they get a favorable call in the fourth quarter of a Super Bowl,
buddy, that's how you lead Sports Center.
Well, I wonder if it actually flips around. Like there's so much talk now about the officials are always helping the Chiefs.
Yeah.
That if there is this call could go either way in the fourth quarter if it flips around. And they say, well, we cannot give this call to the Chiefs right now because if we do, everybody's going to say we did exactly what they say we do. So, I'm not throwing this flag right here. Here's the deal. Questionable pass, Patrick Mahomes. It's 3rd and 7. You could call pass interference or you could not call pass interference.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if the refs are now hesitant to throw the flag because if I throw this flag, everybody's going to say I'm helping the Chiefs. That's been a narrative. Travis Kelce was talking about it on Monday. So I'm going to keep this flag. I'm not going to throw it. I wonder if it can work both ways. These are humans, and this type of stuff is in your head. It just
I
is.
think we will definitely have a moment. Don't you? There will be a moment in this game that everyone's talking about the next day. For sure, when it comes to a call, yeah.
And no matter where you're at in the conversation, you'll have what you need to yell.
Yeah.
If they throw the flag, you'll say, "There they go again. There they go again, giving the Chiefs a first down when they didn't deserve it." And if they don't throw the flag, you know what you'll say? If you're on the other side of it, well, this is the problem. Stupid media spent all week trying to make it out like the refs were helping the Chiefs, and then we get into a situation where they deserved a flag, and the refs wouldn't throw it because they were scared of being criticized by the media. Like no matter what you want, no matter what argument you want to make, there's going to be a moment in the Super Bowl where you'll be able to make the argument you want to make.
Yeah.
Can't wait for that. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, that'll be a blast.
Number 3.
Olivia Rodrigo and Taylor Swift might have buried their beef. Did you even know they had beef?
Okay, see, you're part of the problem. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift. Like, come on, you're feeding into this. Are you part of this pact with the devil?
I wish.
Okay.
I would make a pact with the devil to be in the Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift circle. Absolutely.
That's a great circle. That's a great circle. I too would like to be in that circle.
Okay, Bennett, question.
Mm-hmm.
Would you be willing to burn in hell for eternity?
Mm-hmm.
But you get to spend this life on this earth with Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, and Taylor Swift.
It's like So does like my family get to be a part of it, and we're all friends and hanging out
you're
all the
all
time and
friends.
stuff, and
You're
I get
all
to go to the
friends.
game?
You're all friends. You're in the suite with Taylor and Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, and I guess once upon a time we could have got that Justin Baldoni guy, but I think they're on the outs now. But like, yeah, no, you're a part of it. Like when I am Googling Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce walking out of a New York restaurant, I might see Ben and Kara right there with them.
And my family would be free of this pain.
Yeah, your family does not. Your family gets to benefit from your deal with the devil on this earth, but then they get to not burn in hell for eternity. But you got to burn. You have to burn. You willing to burn?
I'll consider it.
I would consider it
I'll
too.
I'll consider it. Okay.
I would consider it too.
Yeah.
I would too. I'm not saying I would do it. I got to think about it a little bit more. But it's something I would have to think about a little bit more.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift and Olivia Rodrigo might have squashed their beef. Did you know they had beef?
I didn't. I thought they were friends.
Okay. I thought they were friends too. They used to speak glowingly about each other. Olivia Rodrigo was like, Taylor Swift's the best. And Taylor Swift was like, she's such a young star. And they were two women holding each other up. And then that kind of stopped, Bennett. They stopped talking about each other. All right? They stopped complimenting each other. And there was speculation that if you go back to Olivia Rodrigo's first album, there are 2 tracks on that album that were subsequently recredited, and Taylor Swift was given writing credits on these songs. In other words, let me make sure you're following this. Olivia Rodrigo releases an album. It's the big singles driver's license, and she becomes a star. And that album's doing big numbers, and it's got hits. And it's all Olivia Rodrigo's album. Several months into it, whatever the time frame, you go back into the album, and it's like, oh, what, Taylor Swift gets a writing credit on this? Taylor. And when you have to give somebody else a writing credit, that's millions of dollars for an album like that. And so there was some thought that the reason Olivia Rodrigo and Taylor Swift stopped complimenting each other and loving each other is because Olivia Rodrigo had to pay Taylor Swift millions of dollars, or at the very least, millions of dollars that would be going to Olivia Rodrigo because of the success of that album, and those songs were now going to Taylor Swift because she was given a writing credit on those songs. You buy that? You think that's the source of a beef? Could be a beef.
I mean, I don't know. I think that I think you would be, as an up and coming artist, I think you would just be happy to collab with Taylor Swift on something.
But the argument would be, why is Taylor Swift even asked? Why is she even pushing, or her people pushing for this? Like, why this is you're quite literally a billionaire, and you're taking money from this young artist that would otherwise go to her. Why is Taylor Swift's people even involved in this? That's what somebody might say.
Yeah. I guess I could buy it. I guess I could buy that. Sure.
I guess I could buy it too. And then this is all stuff I'm just reading, right? I don't know whether it's true or not. Just stuff I read. But then Taylor Swift on the Eras Tour, at one point she took out Sabrina Carpenter, and that was considered another thing with Olivia Rodrigo, because reportedly Olivia Rodrigo and Sabrina Carpenter were caught up in like a love triangle type of thing.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Not with Barry. Not with Barry.
I don't know all the names, but it was something. And so this is what people said on the internet. That was Taylor Swift's way of poking Olivia Rodrigo a little more. Like, hey, not only am I going to make you give me millions of dollars that would come to you for writing credits, I'm going to take your nemesis, the other young star in the industry. I'm going to put her on my stage, not you. What do you think of that?
I choose to believe that Taylor's not that petty.
Well, there's a lot of evidence that suggests she actually is. Okay. All right, that is exactly the type of thing she would do. But I don't know. Either way, let's fast forward to the good stuff. Grammys, they were seen communicating. Grammys, they were seen supporting each other. And there's some sort of post from some sort of place that had Taylor Swift looking all pretty and stuff at the Grammys. And guess who liked the picture? Guess who liked it?
I'm guessing Olivia Rodrigo.
Olivia Rodrigo.
Okay.
It says liked by Olivia Rodrigo. And TMZ tells me that is evidence that whatever beef there might have been, if there was one or not, It's over now. I like it better like this. I want everybody to be friendly with each other, don't you?
I think, yeah, I do. I think that'd be better for the world.
All right, Bennett. Well, we'll see if you can ever get into a position to make a deal with the devil and join this Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift party. But here's what I'm trying to tell you. If you ever get in there, and maybe this plays a role in your decision-making process, but if you ever get in there, you could also be friends with Olivia Rodrigo, because now it appears Taylor Swift and Olivia Rodrigo are friends once again.
Well, I'm glad they worked it out. Now, I will say, because I said I don't know if she's that petty. She was getting, and granted, she's collabed with Kendrick Lamar before, but like she was getting really into that speech. She was the song. She was really having a good time. They put the camera on her, so I think we know whose side she's on in that whole thing.
Yeah, Kendrick did the verse on Bad Blood.
Yeah,
and then when she redid that whole album after the issues with Scooter Braun, she was like, you know what, if you're gonna own my catalog, I'll just remake all these albums.
Yeah,
and you have to actually redo everything. And so she's told this story. She's like, I had to bring Kendrick back into the studio and get him to do this verse again. And that's a weird thing to ask somebody of his magnitude. Like, hey, I know you did this once upon a time, can you come do it again? And oh, by the way, do it the way you did it then. Like, don't try to reimagine it. Just remember what you did for me years ago? I need you to do it again and send it to me. And he was like, sure, whatever you need, let's do it. And so he has supported her in a major way. And that was her returning the favor. Plus, Drake's a bitch, and everybody likes dancing to his demise. And so that's what you saw. Not just Taylor Swift, it was Beyonce. It was basically everybody dancing to the demise of Drake, the master manipulator and habitual liar, who's also a colonizer. It's an interesting night.
Wow.
Number 4.
Hey, Auburn and Duke remain number 1 and number 2 in the AP poll yesterday. I told you I had Memphis up to 13th in the top 25 and 1. Tigers not quite that high in the AP poll. They are sitting at number 17 right now, 2 spots behind the Missouri team that they beat earlier this season inside FedExForum. But I don't know if the casual or average college basketball fan has picked up on this yet, but this is unusual what we're watching right now, and kind of a cool thing in the sport that I think will start to get more of attention once we get the Super Bowl behind us and people are focusing more on college basketball than they are in the middle of Super Bowl week. But Duke and Auburn have separated from the pack in terms of odds to win the national championship. Right now it's Auburn at plus 380. They're the favorite. Duke at plus 390. And then nobody else is better than plus 1,000. So Auburn and Duke are the clear favorites to win the national title. And they're ranked number 1 and number 2 in the AP poll right now. Number 1 and number 2 at the top 25 and 1 right now. Number 1 and number 2 in most computers right now, including the net and KenPom.com. Meantime, guess who are the 2 clear frontrunners for National Player of the Year? Auburn's Jani Broome and Duke's Cooper Flagg. And
makes sense.
So what you have here are the 2 best teams in the country separating from the pack, and the 2 best players from the country separating from the pack, and those 2 best players happen to play for the 2 best teams, and they're vastly different players. One of them just turned 18 4 days before Christmas. That's Cooper Flagg. And the other one is 22, about to turn 23. It's quite literally 53 months older than Cooper Flagg. So here's the a 22-year-old graduate student and an 18-year-old freshman competing for the same thing, the same team trophy and the same individual trophies. It's a neat development we now have in the sport. And again, once we get the Chiefs and the Eagles behind us, it'll become more of an A-block type of story. Every college basketball season delivers big stories. The sport's so big it's impossible not to. But this is really neat. The 2 best teams in the country also happen to have the 2 best players in the country, and they might be on a collision course for that first Monday night in April.
That'll be cool to watch. Man, I'm looking at this top 25. Dude, Tigers got 4 top 25 wins. That's probably never. Penny's never done that, right?
They've beaten good teams. I mean, they have beaten a Missouri team that's competing for the SEC title. They've beaten a Michigan State team that might win the Big Ten. They've got some big wins.
Yeah, man.
As long as
Ole Miss is hanging in there.
Yeah, Ole Miss is.
They're probably going to fall out.
I don't know. I mean, I still
We'll
like
see.
that Ole Miss team. They play Auburn tough over the weekend. So, no, Memphis has big wins. And as long as they can avoid too many bad losses over the rest of this regular season schedule, they'll have a seed that sets them up to possibly advance to the Sweet 16 for the first time since John Calipari was a coach. Like, no, they're in a good place.
Yeah.
Just try not to screw it up.
Number 5.
3 more low-major college basketball programs are reportedly caught up in a gambling scheme, which leads to the question, what should we do about this? Because this is less of a problem, although it's been a problem in professional sports. Jonte Porter, Michael Porter Jr.'s brother, got banned from the NBA for being involved in a gambling thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's less of a problem at professional sports because NBA players are largely millionaires, right?
Yeah.
But you get down to and even at the high major college level, these players are often making money now. But you get down to the North Carolina A&Ts and the Eastern Michigans. These are the types of programs that are caught up in this now. Mississippi Valley State. These players don't have money.
Right.
So what if somebody's saying, hey, $5,000, I need you to, instead of winning by 9 tonight, win by 4?
Yeah, I think. Well, also with the NBA, like they make it crystal clear: don't do it, or you will be kicked out of the league.
Right.
Like that is, it's everywhere. Like the league does do a good job of letting these guys know: do not do it. Don't even think about it. When you're talking about like low major college basketball programs, I mean, I'm sure the coaches tell the players don't gamble on basketball, right? I'm sure. But like, how much are they like, really trying to plant that in, I feel like that something's going to happen with the NCAA and these guys are going to have to take a program or something like that because like you said, it's popping up, dude, and they're getting caught more than ever.
Clearly, some schools emphasize it more than others.
Yeah.
But it is something that they're talking about on every campus, I can assure you. And I don't really know that this is something because the reason I bring it up is now people are saying things like, do you take point spreads off of low major games? Because those players can be compromised more easily than, say, a player at Alabama making $800,000 can be compromised, right? I just think you just you tell everybody these are the rules and these are the laws. And if you do this and you get caught, you will pay a significant price.
Yeah.
And then you catch them when you can catch them. And I think that's probably the long and short of it. Like you don't start changing the whole world just because an Eastern Michigan basketball player might have shaved points. You make an example out of him and everybody you catch like him and make it clear that the only way this works, fixing games, shaving points, is the only way it's worth. And this is how they're catching these people. Mm-hmm. The only way it's actually worth you doing is if we're winning real money off of it. And if we put real money on a Eastern Michigan game,
that's what I was going to say.
It's like a red flag because
of course,
like,
why is everyone betting on this? Yeah,
that's right. So you're probably going to get caught, or at least there's a chance you'll get caught. We have evidence of other people getting caught when you try to do this. So be careful, and you just catch the people you catch when you catch them. Make examples out of them, and you hope that's enough of a deterrent for everybody else. But once you legalize gambling to this degree, and it is everywhere now in all of our phones, these types of stories were going to be unavoidable, and now you can read about them on any national website you prefer. Be back with GP's Carryout.
Grizzlies fans, dunks, dimes, and no-looks are great on TV, but nothing compares to catching them IRL. And that starts with buying tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can catch every highlight in person. From seeing your favorite Grizzlies stars up close to hearing the squeak of the sneakers on the hardwood. Put that jersey collection to use and get tickets at Ticketmaster. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside, Memphis.
Our fans have a huge impact on our ability to play to the level that we're striving for.
Drop off, Durant. Oh! Well, you wanted home crowd involvement.
I love those moments where you see our guys engaging in the fans, and the fans just get pumped up.
They are standing at FedExForum
I would hate to be on the other side with the opposition when FedExForum's rolling. That's such an unbelievable relationship that our group has with our fans.
Kroger shoppers and Grizz fans, one exclusive last-minute discounted ticket deals texted straight to you during the Grizzlies 2024-2025 season. Sign up with the new Kroger Buzzer Beater deal. Fans can sign up by texting Grizz to 636-479 or visit your local Kroger store in the Delta Division and scan the QR code. By signing up, you agree to receive recurring automated promotional and personalized marketing text messages from the Memphis Grizzlies. Consent is not a condition of any purchase. Message frequency varies. Message and data rates may apply.
A night of comedy with Sebastian Maniscalco and Jim Gaffigan.
Now, is this a family? Is this your mother? Where is she? Is she in the crowd? You don't know where your mom is. The mom's up there. What kind of family is this? I'm sorry.
Sebastian Maniscalco and Jim Gaffigan.
I went ziplining for the last time.
What is wrong with us? Would you pay $200 to feel like you're about to die 6 times?
Live in Memphis, FedExForum, Friday, February 21st. Get tickets now at LiveNation.com.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing beats catching your Grizzlies IRL, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back with tickets to every upcoming matchup. Whether you're catching the Grizzlies at home or on the road, you'll find tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Grizzlies tickets today. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside again soon, Memphis.
Welcome back, Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South. I'm in New York City. Bennett Doyle back in Memphis, producing the program. Let's wrap this up with GP's Carryout.
It's time for GP's Carryout. One final segment filled with stuff to take with you. It's not everything you need to know, but it's most of it. What did we learn today?
A whole bunch of stuff, but let's focus on something that's happening right now in Los Angeles. That's Luka Doncic's introductory press conference with the Lakers. They asked him, how did you find out? Where were you? What did you think? So funny. Man's life changed. You know what he was doing?
What?
Sleeping. He was asleep.
Oh, okay.
He awoke to the news and said he had to check his phone to make sure it wasn't April 1st. Like, even Luka Doncic was like, no way. I just got traded to the Lakers. Said LeBron did call him from New York. They kept it brief, but wanted to welcome him to LA. So he said it's been hard 2 days. He's excited to be in Los Angeles, obviously, but Dallas was his home, and he did not think he was ever going to leave there. This is not something he envisioned. So add Luka Doncic to the list of people who cannot believe the Dallas Mavericks actually moved him out of that franchise.
What's today's biggest game?
Let's do college basketball down in Oxford at the Pavilion. Kentucky at Ole Miss, number 14 Wildcats, number 25 Rebels. Kentucky's now only 4-4 in the SEC. Ole Miss now 5-4. Rebels are 4.5-point favorites tonight. Totals 157.5. How you gonna act?
Ooh, I want Ole Miss to win because I want that win to look good for the Tigers, and I want them to stay in the top 25. That said, I think I'm going to take Kentucky here.
Bennett said he wants Mark Pope and the Wildcats.
Feels like a bounce back opportunity.
Bounce back opportunity for UK. That's what Bennett says after a weekend loss to John Calipari and the Arkansas Razorbacks. 6 o'clock tip tonight. You can watch it on ESPN.
What are we watching on TV?
New documentary dropped on Netflix. I saw this last night. I haven't watched it yet. I guess I will at some point. American Manhunt, O.J. Simpson. Did we need another O.J. Simpson documentary?
Dude, we have like 50 of these. I can't keep up anymore. I know everything there is to know.
I feel like I know everything about O.J. and Nicole and how that went down. I've watched television shows about it, documentaries about it, read about it. But Netflix, they gave us another one. And it's a documentary that goes inside O.J. Simpson's infamous murder case with rare footage and interviews with people who were there, including a juror. I feel like we've done this.
I do too, man. I think I'm going to pass.
It was number 1 on Netflix last night. It's number 2 right now. Netflix.com, American Manhunt, O.J. Simpson.
What's the best thing we've read?
Well, over at CBSSports.com right now, we got a whole crew down at the Super Bowl. So Go eat it up. CBSSports.com, the homepage. First thing you'll see is a picture of Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes. Super Bowl predictions, they're available. Homepage, CBSSports.com.
What's on tap for tomorrow?
Well, tomorrow's Wednesday. Chris Barton will join me. We'll get ready for non-conference game. See that? Non-conference game between the Grizzlies and the Raptors.
I like it.
Look back on this Ole Miss-Kentucky game as well. Like you said, Bennett, if you're a Memphis fan, you want Ole Miss to win it, even if you grew up hating the Rebels, because you're rooting for your resume, and an Ole Miss victory is better for your resume than an Ole Miss loss. So it'll be a fun show tomorrow. Looking forward to it already. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll enjoy mine. Let's be back here tomorrow at 10. Till then, be careful, be kind, be good. Rep your hood.